A cold wind swept through the busy city streets as people hurried along the sidewalk. Among them sat an old beggar, wrapped in a torn blanket, his hands shivering as he held out a small cup. "Spare some change, ma'am?" he asked softly as a well-dressed woman in high heels passed by. She stopped, looking down at him with disgust before letting out a loud laugh. "Look at you. Sitting there, expecting people like me to hand you money. Why don't you get a job instead of begging?" Her mocking tone caught the attention of nearby pedestrians. Some chuckled nervously, while others simply turned away. The beggar lowered his gaze, shame washing over him. But before the woman could walk away, a deep voice cut through the crowd. "Is that how you measure worth?" The laughter stopped. The woman turned, and her face paled when she saw Clint Eastwood standing behind her, his piercing eyes locked onto hers. The street grew silent as everyone realized something was about to happen. The woman scoffed, flipping her hair. "And who are you to question me?" Clint took a step forward, his presence commanding. "Someone who believes respect isn't measured by a wallet." He turned to the beggar, pulling a few bills from his pocket and dropping them into the man's cup. "Everyone needs help sometimes." The woman smirked. "Oh, so you're just giving handouts? Encouraging laziness?" Clint's expression didn't change. "Do you know this man's story?" She faltered for a second before crossing her arms. "I don't need to. He's sitting on the street, that says enough." Clint exhaled, shaking his head. "No. That says nothing." He kneeled beside the beggar. "What's your name?" The old man hesitated, glancing at the crowd. "J. John," he said softly. "I wasn't always like this. I had a job, a family, but then I lost everything." His voice cracked. "I tried. But once you fall this low, people stop seeing you as human." A deep silence fell over the street. The woman shifted uncomfortably, but still, she wasn't convinced. "So. Life is tough for everyone. Why should I care?" Clint's jaw tightened. "Because one day, it could be you." But before she could respond, something unexpected happened. A little girl walked up, no older than 6, holding her mother's hand. She pulled a small coin from her pocket and placed it in John's cup. "Mommy says we should always help," she said with a bright smile. Her mother nodded, gently squeezing her daughter's hand. "Kindness costs nothing." The woman in heels looked at them, her confidence wavering. Clint gestured at the little girl. "She understands more than you do." The woman's face turned red. "Are you seriously comparing me to a child?" Clint nodded. "Yes. Because unlike you, she hasn't let the world make her cold." The crowd murmured, and some people began stepping forward, dropping money into John's cup. The woman looked around, realizing how many people were watching. Her smirk faded. "This is ridiculous," she muttered. But just as she turned to leave, John spoke again, his voice stronger. "I don't want pity. I just want a chance." The woman paused, gripping her purse tightly. Then, as if to prove Clint wrong, she did something shocking. She reached into her bag and pulled out a $100 bill. "Fine," she snapped, tossing it into John's cup. "There. Happy now?" But Clint didn't look impressed. He shook his head. "That's not kindness. That's guilt." The woman's lips parted slightly, as if she wanted to argue, but she couldn't find the words. "Real kindness," Clint continued, "isn't about throwing money at a problem to make yourself feel better. It's about seeing people, really seeing them." The woman looked at John, for the first time actually meeting his eyes. His face, lined with years of hardship, held no resentment, only quiet dignity. Her expression softened. I never thought about it like that." She hesitated, then crouched down and spoke in a lower voice. "Is there anything else you need?" John smiled faintly. A job. A chance to start again. The woman bit her lip, then sighed. I run a small cafe. We could use an extra hand, if you're willing. John's eyes widened. Are you serious? She nodded. Just don't make me regret it. Clint watched silently, a small smile playing on his lips. But before the moment could settle, John did something that left everyone speechless. John reached into his cup and pulled out the $100 bill. He looked at the woman and extended it back to her. I don't need this, he said. Not like that. I want to earn it. The woman stared at the money, shocked. Slowly, she smiled and nodded, pushing his hand back. Then come in tomorrow. Let's see what you can do. The crowd erupted into applause. Some wiped their eyes, touched by the moment. Clint stood up, giving John a firm nod. Proud of you, he said simply. John's voice was steady for the first time in years. Thank you. The woman exhaled, then looked at Clint. You really know how to make a point, don't you? Clint smirked. Only when it's needed. He turned, walking down the street as the city buzzed around him. Another life had changed that day, not just John's, but the woman's too. The lesson had been taught, and Clint knew it would ripple far beyond this moment. As he disappeared into the crowd, the little girl tugged at her mother's hand and said, Mommy, I think that man is a hero. If you love stories that inspire and teach valuable lessons, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos.